Thank you, and thank you to Chairman Stauber for holding this legislative hearing today and for considering my bill, H.R. 280, also known as the Coal Act. The Coal Act takes two critical steps for states involved with the federal coal program. First, it nullifies the Department of Interior's Secretarial Order 3338, which placed a moratorium on new federal coal leases. And it also expedites the leasing process for qualified applications. For example, for any coal lease application that has already been commenced under NEPA. Since 1986, Wyoming has led the nation in coal production, producing about 40% of the nation's coal. Last year, we produced 191 million tons and shipped over 171 million tons to 26 different states. While there is mining in different areas of the state, Wyoming is blessed with a significant amount in the Powder River Basin, the largest coal deposit in North America. Due to the presence of the BLM and other federal agencies in that basin, much of our state's coal production is on federal land. In fact, we produce about 85% of all federal coal production. This reality makes us susceptible to misguided and nefarious federal policies. For example, in 2016, the Obama administration placed a moratorium on new coal leasing. The moratorium that is addressed in this bill. This moratorium was reversed the following year, reinstated by the Biden administration in 2021, reimposed by a federal judge in 2022, and further delayed by the Biden administration in 2023. The federal government has found other ways to destroy Wyoming's coal production. For example, the Biden administration slowed the approval of mine plan amendments for other Wyoming projects. And in 2024, the Biden administration amended the BLM Buffalo Resource Management Plan, which governs federal lands in the Powder River Basin, thereby choosing to pursue the, quote, no new leasing alternative, and thereby terminating all coal leasing by 2041. This whipsawing creates uncertainty that hampers the ability of coal companies to plan for the future, and it could lead to decreased production long before 2040, which was likely the intent of the Biden administration at the time. It was because of this federal campaign against coal that I first introduced the Coal Act in 2023 and reintroduced it again in this Congress. Since then, the 2016 moratorium was overturned by a federal judge and recognized by the Trump administration. Further, the Work and Families Tax Cut bill signed by President Trump on July 4th made necessary reforms to coal leasing as well. As the Trump administration and the Republican Congress advance a pro-coal agenda that will keep America powered, I am interested to hear the expert testimony of our witnesses today and discuss ways which this legislation can be further strengthened to reflect the current state of federal coal policies and prescribe further protections in the future from the harms of the past. When the federal government tries to destroy Wyoming's coal industry, it ends up turning the lights out and the heat off in America. My legislation, which codifies key aspects of President Trump's executive order, is yet another step in the right direction. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today, and I yield back. Thank you. I am proud to report that Wyoming has been the leading coal-producing state since 1986. And in 2024, Wyoming produced 191 million tons of coal and shipped 171 million tons to 26 different states. Wyoming produces about 40% of the nation's coal and about 85% of all federal coal production. The U.S. demand for reliable and affordable energy is increasing every single day, and that includes the demand for coal. Through the President's executive order reinvigorating America's beautiful clean coal industry and the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill Act, this is one of the most pro-coal governments that we've seen in quite some time. This marks a 180-degree turn from the energy poverty policies of the Biden and Obama administration, something that you seem to be advocating for, Dr. Feldges, a continuation of those energy poverty actions, and the Democrat-led Congresses which passed the IRA and other very harmful laws. The Coal Act codifies key aspects of President Trump's executive order. It nullifies the DOI Secretarial Order 3338, which placed a moratorium on new federal coal leases, and it expedites the leasing process for qualified applications. The bill requires slight changes and updates to reflect the changing regulatory and legal landscape of federal coal policy and to integrate other positive aspects of the President's executive order. H.R. 280, the Coal Act, focuses on two key aspects: eliminating the federal coal moratoriums and expediting coal leasing. I'm going to direct my question to Mr. Deti, who has been a fabulous asset for the state of Wyoming and the country as a whole in terms of providing affordable and reliable energy and other mining products. And Mr. Deti, since Wyoming is the largest coal producer in the nation and the vast majority of our coal is federal, what impacts do federal moratoriums have for our nation's grid and power needs?
Thank you, Representative Hageman. It's nice to see you again. It has a tremendous effect because, as we talked about a little bit earlier about projected demand, we need an all-that-works strategy, and that includes coal, gas, and nuclear. And in order to provide those coal needs, I mean, the demand's not going away. And I find it interesting in the course of the discussions we hear, oh, coal's dying. If the demand truly weren't there, why are we even talking about a moratorium? We have a moratorium in place because folks want to keep the resource in the ground for whatever their reasons. But the demand is there, and it's going to grow. And in order for us to meet that demand, you have to have access to the resource. You have to have access to the coal. You have to be able to lease coal. And the leasing process takes, on average, about 11 years. About 4.5 years is spent on NEPA. We have not had major leasing activity in this country for the last 10 to 15 years, and we're behind the curve. So, you put that resource off limits, you're putting our grid in jeopardy. You're putting our ability to meet the projected demand. We're not going to be able to do it.
Well, in 2016, Obama's Interior Secretary Sally Jewell placed a moratorium on new leasing. That moratorium was lifted the following year, only to be reimposed in 2021 by the Biden administration. In 2022, a federal judge reimposed the Obama-era moratorium, and in 2023, the Biden administration announced its intent to initiate yet another EIS to evaluate the impacts of maintaining or revoking the coal moratorium, despite the fact that no such EIS was required. Now, I have had the opportunity to visit the coal mines in Wyoming, and to state that they are well-run, well-operated, and in compliance with the federal and state regulations is an understatement. I also would invite members of the committee and others who may have skepticism about coal and our ability to environmentally mine such resource to come to Wyoming and actually see the reclamation and the habitat that we provide for a variety of wildlife species and things like that. But this whipsawing obviously has an impact upon our company's ability to operate. Mr. Deti, would you just briefly describe the impact that these changing policies have and why it's important that we get certainty in this area?
Well, absolutely, Representative Hageman. The industry thrives on certainty. Our customers thrive on certainty because we have to send our coal somewhere. And when you have utilities looking, for the last 15 years not being certain whether the coal resource was even going to be available, that impacts their decisions. And they're not planning year to year, they're planning decade to decade. And so, yes, absolutely, you need certainty. And I want to also quickly point out, we've heard a lot about public input. And I think it's really kind of interesting that throughout this discourse about moratoriums and the Clean Power Plan and curbing coal use, there's been a lot of opportunity for public input. And when you go to the state of Wyoming, people of Wyoming have been ignored, completely ignored for the last 15 years when their input is given on whether we should keep our coal resources viable and whether or not we need a moratorium on this. Yeah, you're right. You look at community involvement. Absolutely, community input. Community input for Wyoming has been ignored.
I think that's a very good point, Mr. Deti. Thank you for being here to provide that valuable testimony, and I yield back.